The night felt heavy and silent when Ethan Mercer stepped out of his tall building. He was a powerful CEO who rarely showed emotion. Yet he stopped walking the moment he saw a lonely dog sitting near the glass doors. The dog was a golden retriever. Its fur was dirty. Its body was thin. Its eyes held a sadness Ethan had not seen in years. The dog looked at him with a softness that almost felt like a cry for help. The scene hit him with surprising force. This part of the city did not have stray animals. This part of the city was too loud, too bright, too controlled. Yet here sat this weak creature as if waiting for Ethan alone. Ethan felt something inside his chest that he thought he had lost long ago. A small sting of emotion. A small pull toward kindness. It frightened him. It also humbled him. Ethan slowly bent down. He moved with caution, wanting to avoid scaring the frail animal. But the dog took a hesitant step forward. Its legs trembled. Its breath shook. It looked at Ethan as if the world had finally offered it a moment of mercy. Ethan noticed a red collar around the dog's neck. The collar was faded and worn out. It no longer showed a name. Without thinking, Ethan removed his expensive coat and wrapped it gently around the dog. The dog's head fell softly against his chest as if surrendering its fear. Without a word, Ethan carried it toward his waiting car. His driver looked surprised but said nothing. Ethan did not care about the dirt that would stain the back seat. Something inside him felt warm for the first time in years. When Ethan reached his penthouse, he placed the dog on a soft blanket near the fireplace. The dog looked around slowly. Its eyes scanned every corner. It was not searching for comfort. It was searching for someone. Ethan felt a twinge of sadness at that. He fed the dog warm food. He gave it water. The dog ate like a creature that had fought starvation for too long. When it finished, it curled up near the fireplace. Ethan sat beside it. The fire crackled softly. Warm light flickered across the room. The dog let out a long sigh. The sound pierced through Ethan hard enough to bring memories of his late wife Lila. She had passed away 3 years ago. Since then, Ethan had drowned himself in work. He had buried every part of his heart under meetings, deadlines, and long cold nights. He thought he was done with emotion forever. But this dog had walked straight into the part he had locked away. Days passed. Ethan named the dog Rusty. Rusty followed him from room to room. Rusty rested his head on Ethan's knee whenever Ethan looked lost in thought. Rusty even slept near his bed as if guarding the pieces of a heart that had not fully healed. Ethan started feeling lighter. He no longer hated coming home to silence. The penthouse no longer felt empty. It felt alive again. Ethan tried to find Rusty's owner. His staff searched shelters and lost pet reports, but nothing appeared. Rusty seemed to have come from nowhere, yet something about him felt full of stories that the dog could not speak but carried in his eyes. Soon Ethan began to notice strange behavior. Rusty often stood near the balcony window staring into the distance, as if waiting for someone to appear. Sometimes Rusty paced near the door whining softly. Other times Ethan found him scratching the door, desperate to get into the hallway. The dog was not lost. The dog was searching. Ethan knew it. He felt it. He feared what it might mean. One morning Ethan took Rusty to Central Park. The sun was gentle. The wind was quiet. For a moment everything felt peaceful. Then Rusty suddenly jerked the leash from Ethan's hands and bolted across the field. Ethan's heart pounded as he ran after him. Rusty stopped in front of an elderly homeless woman who sat on a worn-out bench. Rusty trembled. His entire body shook with a mix of joy and grief. The old woman looked up. Her tired eyes widened. Tears fell instantly as she reached out to touch the dog. Rusty climbed into her lap. He buried his face against her chest. She pressed her face into his fur. The way they clung to each other left no doubt. They belonged together. The woman explained with a weak voice that the dog's real name was Cooper. He had been her only family for 6 long, harsh years. She had lost her home. Her children had left her life. Illness had taken her strength. She had slept on streets and sidewalks. She had survived cold nights only because Cooper stayed close and kept her warm. Cooper had guarded her. Cooper had protected her. Cooper had been the reason she stayed alive. On one stormy night, she had collapsed near a dark alley. Cooper had run to find help. She never saw him again. She believed he had died. She had cried for him every night since. Cooper had been her last hope in a world that had abandoned her. Her story crushed Ethan. It felt like a weight pressing on his chest. He had grown attached to Rusty. Rusty had opened Ethan's heart again. Rusty had brought warmth back into a life that had gone cold. Losing him now felt like losing a piece of himself all over again. But keeping him would be cruel. Cooper had someone who needed him far more than Ethan did. The woman said she understood if he wanted to keep the dog. She said she was used to losing the things she loved. Those words shattered Ethan in a way business failures never could. Ethan made a decision in that moment. He helped the woman stand. He wrapped his jacket around her shoulders. He told her she would never return to the streets again. He guided her gently to his car. Cooper stayed by her side the entire time. His tail wagged with relief. His eyes never left her. He had finally found the person he had been searching for. Over the next days, Ethan arranged everything. He paid for the woman's medical treatment. He bought her new clothes. He placed her in a warm, clean apartment with sunlight and safety. Cooper curled at her feet like a guardian angel who had finally regained his purpose. When she walked into her new home, she cried into Cooper's fur and thanked Ethan with a voice full of tremors. Ethan stepped back, letting them have their moment. His heart ached, but the ache was not only loss, it was gratitude. He had been allowed to return a piece of her life she thought was gone forever. Ethan visited them often. He brought groceries and medicine. He took Cooper for short walks. Cooper always greeted him with joy, but always returned to the woman. That made Ethan smile. He knew where the dog belonged. The woman grew healthier. Her eyes gained light again. She began to laugh during small moments with Cooper. Ethan felt peace every time he saw them together. Ethan also changed. He began donating to shelters. He funded programs for the homeless. He adopted new values that filled the empty parts of his soul. Cooper had taught him something he would never forget. Love is not ownership. Love is sacrifice. Love is giving someone back the hope they lost. Months later, Ethan sat on a park bench watching Cooper and the woman walk slowly under the morning sun. Cooper stopped and looked back at Ethan with soft, gentle eyes. Not eyes asking him to return. Not eyes full of longing, but eyes full of gratitude. Ethan nodded with a warm smile. He understood the message. Some bonds are not meant to be held forever. Some exist only to guide you toward kindness. If this emotional story touched your heart, please like this video and comment to support more inspiring stories. Please write "Kindness lives forever." Ethan stood up. He placed his hands in his pockets. He breathed in the peaceful air. As he walked away, he felt lighter than he had in many years. Cooper stayed beside the woman. The two of them had found their world again. Ethan had found his too. And he knew deep in his heart that sometimes a dog does not just enter your life by accident. Sometimes he enters to show you the true direction of love.